Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank every city and public official standing here with us again as Philadelphia handles its first significant snowstorm in nearly 2 years. For the record, we have the Managing Director's Office, Office of Emergency Management, Streets Department, Police Department, Fire Department, and our first responders, the Philadelphia Parking Authority, SEPTA, PICO, representatives of the streets and sanitation unions who are doing the hard work to get us through the snow. And this evening, for the first time with us, you see the heads of both our police and firefighters unions. So it's a very long list. They are either all here on this evening or afternoon or fully coordinating with our administration as we take on this storm. We are working together to maintain public safety, clean our streets, and protect the people of Philadelphia during this storm. It's impressive. It's what we're all here to do. And quite frankly, this is where and when we get a chance to see Philadelphia shine. How are we doing it? People are heeding the call to stay home and off the roads. Neighbors and community members are checking in on one another, and those who can are taking care of those in need. But we are nowhere near done. The winter storm is here, and the roads that are drivable now are going to become undrivable this evening. Things that are bad now may get worse as we head towards the nightfall. The men and women behind me, the ones who are loading the salt, the ones who are getting ready to plow the biggest and the smallest streets in our city, they need our help. And the help that they need is for you, the people of our great city, to allow them to do their job. So we make a plea to you again. We also wanted to note for the record that our police and firefighters, they are also on the front line. They're out here braving the cold, the snow, the storm, and all of this challenging weather to protect us and keep us safe. You've heard it from both our police and fire commissioners throughout all of this, that they've been on spot in making sure that they keep our public health and safety as their number one priority. So my message today is clear. Stay home again if you can. It's going to go below freezing tonight. Roads may get icy, so please stay home. And not they may get icy. No matter what we do, it's going to get colder, and that means it's going to get icier. And we are doing our best to address these issues as quickly as we possibly can. But as long as it takes us to get it done, that's how long it is going to take. I needed to make sure I said that for the record, because someone asked earlier today, when will every street in the city of Philadelphia be clear? And the fact of the matter is, there are no timelines. We are going to do whatever it takes to clear our streets as long as it takes. Our city, our people, and our workers, and our leaders, like the ones you see here, they're our heroes. We're grateful for their service. And this is what we mean when you see one Philly, a united city. People have heard me say that consistently, frequently, and it's interesting to hear when it's said, but this is what one Philly, a united city, looks like when you see it in action. With that being said, we're now going to hear from our managing director, Teal, for a fuller update on the storm and how the city's response is going. Director Teal.
Thank you, Mayor Parker. You know, I'm not sure that I should use football references anymore. However, I'm inspired by the Eagles garb that I see some of our colleagues wearing, and I want to make the point, we are in the third quarter. It's not over. We still have time to go. The good news is, thanks to our coach's leadership, thanks to the mayor's leadership, we're winning. We are ahead. We are not playing catch-up. The streets look incredible, and that's thanks to all the folks you see here. As you heard, police, fire, EMS, everybody is out there getting it done. PPA, on and on and on. This team is winning. We are not coming from behind. which has often been the case when we're dealing with snowstorms. And that's just a reality of the forecasting and the uncertainties in the forecasts. The good news is it looks like the snow is starting to taper off. It's not done. The snow emergency is still on track to expire at 7 p.m. tonight. We don't anticipate that changing. We still need time, as you heard the mayor said, to do the finish work, to finish the fight. We have to go in, do more brining and more salting. You're going to hear that from our Director of Clean and Green Initiatives next. We still need to do some plowing to do cleanup along all these streets. And, as you heard the mayor say, we're going to be done when we're done. So please rest assured, this fight will continue. We got this. We are offering the full range of city services. I did want to address that we absolutely have homeless beds and homeless services and intake services available exactly as written in our press releases. We understand there may have been an interaction earlier today where that was not clear, but those services are available. So please, as you heard, we're in a cold blue. It's still cold. It's going to get colder, as you heard the mayor say. If you see somebody, you can call that number. You can help get them off the street. We have warm beds available for everybody who needs them. So now I want to turn it over to our Director of Clean and Green Initiatives, Carlton Williams.
Right. Thank you, Managing Director, and thank you, Mayor, for your leadership. I want to provide an update to our Snow Event C. I want to start off by reiterating what Mayor Parker has said. We are not out of the woods yet. In fact, this could be considered the dangerous part of the event because of the freezing temperatures. Once those temperatures fall below 20 degrees, it will remain icy and frozen, and it will be difficult to treat. So we're asking people, please stay off the roadways. It may look safe now. It could change very quickly as temperatures begin to plummet. Our role is to try to clear as much ice and snow as off the roadways as much as possible, which is why we're still asking people to stay off emergency routes. Stay home if you can. Those things have to continue to be echoed, and it's very important. We began fighting this storm at about 6:45 a.m. when we witnessed the first snowfall. Weather forecasts continue to be unpredictable, so we could get a band of snow again. We want to make sure that people understand that we are not out of the woods yet. At present, we have over 300 pieces of equipment out on the streets. That number is going to increase with sanitation being added up to over 450 pieces of equipment. We still have over 40,000 tons of salt on hand to be able to fight this storm. It's very important that the salting operation continue for what reasons that I stated above. The freezing temperatures are going to cause icy conditions. I can't state that enough. That is very important. Therefore, Friday's collection that was scheduled to be collected tomorrow is still canceled. We're asking residents to hold their trash next week as sanitation crews assist our entire operation to get the streets as clean as possible. We're also asking residents as a reminder to clear walkways. It is your responsibility to make sure those walkways are safe and passable for residents and people to travel. You have to clear a 36-inch walkway or a 3-foot walkway to ensure people have safe passage. If you do not, unfortunately, you will receive a CVN in the amount of $50 if those walkways are not cleared. Shoveling into the street, we stress that importance, especially now. If you started to shovel that snow and ice into the street, it's going to freeze, it's going to cause hilly mountains, and it's going to make it difficult for our operations to continue. Please align that snow along curb lines and not into the roadway. And finally, again, I just want to reiterate the importance of staying home, especially at night. We're going to keep hearing me say it and say it over and over again. I can't stress that enough. Right now, we've completed and treated about 75% of all roads in the city of Philadelphia, both primary, secondary, and what we call tertiary, those residential small side streets. We'll continue to treat those throughout the evening until we get 1 or 2 passes at 100% each. If there are complaints, we will, again, at the end of the operation, open up the 311 line so that people can then report incidents where there's still icy conditions. Again, the refreezing part of it, even though we may have treated it, could freeze back over, and then we want to get out there as quickly as possible. So at the conclusion of the duration of the storm, we're going to start taking those complaints, we're going to keep crews on, and we're going to keep fighting the storm until the end. Thank you.
Commissioner Bethel.
So again, I want to first thank the mayor for recognizing the men and women in the FOP and for President Poplar, and as well as the civilian men and women who have come in today to be on the front lines to work through this process. So I do want to thank you for that. Just some positives as we talk about the safe driving. Fortunately, though many folks have heeded to stay off the streets, we have seen a slight increase in our accidents over our Friday pattern, but 10%, which is only a couple of double digits, maybe anywhere from 10 to 20, but that's pretty good considering the conditions that we've been exposed to. So we want to thank the community for continuing to stay off the streets and driving cautiously. As it relates to our emergency calls, we have not seen, we're at normal baseline for our 911 calls to service, so we're really seeing that. Many of the calls that are coming in are for other issues around parking, in parking spaces and those types of areas that have often given us a concern. So we ask, and I'll talk about that in a minute. As it relates to vehicles missing, we have the parking authority and members of the team have done a great job to keep the routes clear. We're not receiving a number of calls in that area, but we will remind the public that if you are missing a car, do not call 911. We ask you to call 215-686-SNOW. That's 215-686-7669. Press option 4 to help you find your vehicle. But again, I want to thank the community because they're doing a great job in that space. Real quickly, as the snow starts to come down and continues through the day, we do want to remind it's oftentimes controversial around saving parking spaces. Those are oftentimes where we start to see a lot of conflict in those areas. We would ask folks not to engage in that process. If there's an issue, we ask you to call 311. Clearly, if there's an emerging issue, we ask you to call 911. But we do, again, encourage the community. That is leading a large number of our calls now around saving spaces. And so, again, we ask folks to stay away from that space as well. And then I just want to, again, just extend my appreciation. I mean, you heard the charge of the group to stay off the roads. We heard the charge of staying safe and just, out there on the roadways, and you have heeded that. So we then, from the Philadelphia Police Department, we want to say thank you for doing that. It definitely makes our job easier, and it definitely helps us with working with the team here. So thank you for that.
Commissioner Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Director Teal and Director Williams. So let me give a brief update on what we've addressed so far today. Our main concern has been slip and fall injuries related to folks out shoveling. So the message still stands clear. Please stay inside if you can, but if you have to come out and shovel, please be cautious. What you're shoveling now, underneath, from our last snowstorm event, we still have frozen ice underneath there, so just be cautious. So this is the perfect time when everybody's asked to stay indoors to check on your neighbors. You take a look and make sure, this is especially for the homebound and the elderly and those with young children. It's also a great time to make sure you check your smoke alarms, but also check your carbon monoxide alarms. Because it's been such a long time since we had snow, 2 years, a lot of people with fireplaces forget their flue needs to be checked. Wow. And that's something that your carbon monoxide alarm will immediately give you an indication that something's wrong in the house. So we want to make sure that we do that as well. Our call volume has been at normal. We know that this event is nowhere close to being over, as our partners have said, and we're going to make sure that over the next operational period that we stand up some extra EMS units just in case those slip and falls, or what Commissioner Bethel talked about, the accidents. We just want to make sure that we have the right amount of people out there being able to respond to every call. I'd like to give a special thank you to Director Williams. With all our 60 some odd firehouses, we have an issue sometime with having plowed snow in front of the firehouse, and we need access to the roads. What they did, what the streets did, they went by all of the firehouses. I believe they're still doing it right now. By all of the firehouses, clearing those spots, salting those spots, making sure that the fire hydrants stay clear, and leaving salt for the people inside the firehouse. So I want to appreciate that. But this is just another example of a team effort that we have here, and we're making sure we get it done. So thank you.
Scott?
Thank you, Mayor Parker. I'd like to start by thanking all the dedicated SEPTA employees who have worked through this storm continuously since last evening. Because of their efforts, we've been able to provide safe and reliable service to those who need it. Today's been challenging, and that challenge will continue to keep most of our trains, buses, and trolleys running. I join everyone here in urging residents who can to stay home, but those who must travel, essential workers, SEPTA is here to get you where you need to go. Our advice continues for riders to take your time, leave time for you to travel. Make sure you get safely to and from your bus or train station. Check SEPTA's real-time information, our apps, our Twitter feeds, our website, septa.org. You can see all the latest information on bus routes and train delays. We have about 30 bus routes that have some detour within the route. You can find information on where that detour is and how to access that bus on our app and Twitter feeds. We canceled a handful of trains for this evening, 4 or 5 trains that have now been canceled due to crew availability due to the storm. So we urge customers that are traveling by regional rail to check for that information on which trains have been annulled and how to get to where you need to go. Your best bet during a winter storm is our Market Frankfurt line and our Broad Street line service. They are the workhorse lines, they carry the most people, and they are the most resilient during a winter storm. If you're planning to use SEPTA this weekend, continue to check our information for service. Our crews will keep working through the night and through the weekend to protect our service for Saturday and Sunday and into the following work week. This storm is going to be very challenging with the temperatures dropping, leaving ice, lots of thick ice around for us to battle, make sure our track and overhead catenary systems are clear. Again, we are very fortunate at SEPTA to have a dedicated workforce, much like the city, who comes out and battles these events for our customers. They want to provide safe, reliable service, and we will continue to do that through the weekend.
Now we're going to hear from Dominic OEM. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Dominic Morales, the Director with the City's Office of Emergency Management. As I mentioned earlier today, we're very much in the response period of this storm, starting with preparedness earlier this week, and now response and eventually recovery, which we're planning for now. But essentially, the city's Emergency Operations Center has been activated since 7 a.m. We'll stay activated in line with the snow emergency. It's staffed with our partner agencies across transportation, public safety, and infrastructure partners. Really focused on making sure we can rapidly problem solve and that we can stay abreast of any issues and just the global picture of what's happening in Philadelphia and broadly in the region. I too would like to recognize the city's Office of Emergency Management, the staff. A lot of times, especially in an operation like this, staring over computer screens and forecasts and trying to make sense of where we're at and where we're going, convening conference calls, putting together email updates, those types of things might not be what come to the front of your mind. But to achieve our mayor's One Philly and this interagency effort, it takes a management function that the OEM helps to support to make sure that we all have the same information and the same picture and that we're communicating effectively across all of the agencies. As I mentioned previously, we know the public is a part of this response as well. And so many of you, like many of us will be when we get home at some point tonight or tomorrow, will continue that clean out process. The shoveling of any snow that's fallen, the watching for the ice that's been referenced several times. And so again, some of those reminders are pace yourself, do it in 15-minute increments. If you start to realize you're perspiring, your clothes are wet underneath your jacket, it may be time to take a break to change out what you're wearing. Push the snow, don't try to lift it. We also know that our hazards are changing. We talked about the extreme cold, especially going into the overnight, and the forecast for the weekend looks cooler than it has been the last few days. So now we think about dressing warmly, dressing in layers, making sure to protect ourselves against the wind, particularly any exposed skin like fingers or faces. And remember, our little ones, our babies, experience the cold more harshly than we might, as do our pets. Do not forget about your pets. Whether you're walking them on the sidewalk, whether out in the back patio, they should not be exposed to the cold any longer than you would be. Lastly, as we again continue to face a changing hazard profile, we think about the opportunity or the potential for any power outages. We're honored to be joined by our partners from PECO here today, who have been working alongside us this entire preparedness and now response phase of this storm. who is available for any kind of questions or tips around reporting outages and how to respond. But the last thing we want to remind folks is stay connected to that information. You heard we anticipate the snow emergency until 7 p.m. tonight. That will be reiterated through the city's official channels, Ready Philadelphia, the phila.gov website, and of course the city's social media. Find a way to get connected to that information. Should things change, should the next storm come, you will be informed the moment we have that information. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
We're now going to hear from Michelle Sanchez, PICO. Michelle.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to all the inter-city agencies that we partner with. We continue to monitor the weather conditions and are prepared for any potential issues from this winter storm. At this time, we have 16 outages affecting about 74 customers in the city of Philadelphia. We will work safely to repair damage and restore service as quickly as possible. Customers can contact us via our mobile app, our website at pico.com/outages, or at 1-800-841-4141 if they experience a service issue. Customers can visit pico.com/alerts to sign up to receive updates via text, email, or phone on their energy usage and information regarding power outages, including when the power is out, when the service is expected to be restored, or when power is restored. Our system continues to perform well despite these weather conditions. Additional crews are standing by to quickly respond to any issues today and throughout the weekend. With the colder temperatures, we want to ensure that our customers remain safe and warm and are using energy most efficiently. Keeping your thermostat at a comfortable level can save about 2% on your heating bill for every degree you lower your thermostat. Do not heat unused areas. Close vents in unused rooms and shut doors to unused rooms, closets, and basements. For rooms that are being heated, keep vents clean with a vacuum cleaner and do not cover the vents with drapes or furniture that could block the airflow or cause a fire. Take advantage of the sun's heat during the day. Open your curtains on the south-facing windows during the day to allow sunlight to naturally heat your home, and close it at night so that will reduce the chill from the cold weather. Use locks on your windows. It helps make a tighter seal that is more resistant to drafts. If you have a fireplace, keep your damper closed when the fireplace is not in use. Most importantly, we want everyone to know that we are prepared for this storm at PICO with these extreme temperatures, and we are here to support our customers and the city of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. We're now going to hear from the president of the FOP Lodge 5, Roosevelt Poplar.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mayor. I have to honestly say that I'm ecstatic to be here standing next to the mayor. First time in the history of myself in the FOP being involved in the OEM operation. Not understanding fully what it takes to put this together, but now having an idea with all the support behind me. My members feel so gratified to go to work knowing that they can ride the streets of Philadelphia safely in one of the worst conditions. It's been a very long time since that's happened. So I stand here proud of the mayor, number one, and everyone standing behind her. And I know my membership sends their love, because this is something that when you're out there in those streets doing these conditions, the cold, the snow, the ice, and you can't get through, we're priority. We answer 911, so we don't have a day off. We can't take time off, so we have to get there. So like I said, from my membership to the mayor and everyone behind me, this is so gratifying to know that we have a mayor who put a plan in action and is actually following through with it. Not just talking the talk, but walking it. So, and we appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poplar. We'll now hear from Local 22 President Mike Breslin.
Good afternoon. I have to reiterate what President Poplar said. It's an honor to be here. When I got the call, don't usually get calls like this, but to join this one team and keep the city moving, it's an honor. And the mayor and her team has given our members everything they need, and that's critical. And as you know, with snow, everything slows down. The one thing that doesn't slow down now is fire spread. So we ask people, you heard it earlier with the parking and the streets, we ask people don't get cute and act like turkeys and park your car on a corner or block a hydrant, because our trucks have to get down those streets. And if you see a hydrant covered in snow, knock it off with a broom. We need those. Our trucks only carry 500 gallons of water for our members. So if they spend that water, they got to get a backup supply. So the parking is critical. If you do not block a street, do not park on the corners, like I said, and you can help our EMS personnel, because if they have to transport a patient out of a house, especially with steps, you're going to lose 3 people falling down those steps. So salt the steps, sand, whatever you can do, help them if they're there, guide them to down the steps. And again, we appreciate everybody cooperating, and that includes every citizen in the city.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Charles Carrington, Sanitation Workers Local 427, President.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Thank you, Mayor Parker. I would like to reiterate some of the words that I said yesterday about practicing patience, not just with the Streets Department Sanitation Division or Highway Division, but with all these agencies up here, because this is the first time ever that we all collectively have come together to make sure that we give a great service to the city of Philadelphia. So again, I thank the public for practicing patience with us, and just help us. We're going to get through this. Small storm. We've been through greater storms, and we got through them. We'll get through this one.
Thank you. Leonard Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I hear everybody saying things that you got to understand what team means.
Wow.
Together,
Wow.
everyone achieves more.
Yes.
And by us doing that, you see the results that happen. So I want to say it's clear communication, and as long as we have clear communication and we all stick together, things will happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so very much. Any questions? Jill? Yes.
What do you mean for folks tomorrow? I know you were clear today, you want people to stay home, but you guys have a lot of work ahead of you. People might be thinking, hey, tomorrow I'm gonna get out and, get some stuff done. Do you want people to stay home tomorrow? Is it okay if they get out and move around? What's your message?
I'm going to have our managing director, Till, give us a response. And if you have anything to add, Director Williams, please follow up.
Look, tomorrow it's still going to be cold. It's going to be icy. We are still going to have folks, a lot of these dedicated folks here are still going to be out working. And you really need to be cautious. There are going to be a lot of icy patches out there. I know it's a Saturday, so that's, might be a good reason to stay home. If, like us, you went to work today, maybe tomorrow's a good day to stay home. We really need folks to be cautious and adapt to the conditions. Sign up for Ready Philadelphia. Pay attention to the weather. Be careful when you go outside. Make sure that you clear your walk. Maybe help your neighbors. All the things that you've heard here. Let's make sure that those things all happen tomorrow if they didn't get done today. And then, assess the conditions as things play out. But I think the short answer to your question is we want people to be careful. That's what we know. Still going to be very cold. Still going to be very icy. Still not great conditions to be outside. So, yeah, maybe if you can tomorrow, stay home. If you can't, we do recognize a lot of folks, again, including a lot of the folks you see here, work 24/7, 365. So we get that. If you're going to work tomorrow, be careful. Drive slow. Use the SEPTA lines that you've heard. So just be careful, be cautious, pay attention, and keep informed.
Anything? 1 second.
Just real briefly, just want to echo that we're working extremely hard to try to get the streets back to normal as possible. That's going to require some patience, but this is why we make decisions like delaying trash collection so we can switch sanitation over so that we can make sure we expedite that process and be as carefully as possible. I know it's a slight inconvenience for residents, but it's for the benefit of public safety. And so all of our crews are still on deck, full speed ahead to ensure that we do that. We'll be working overnight while people will sleep, so hopefully tomorrow at some point we can look at and assess whether or not we can declare the snow emergency over with. But until that point, we're going to continue working hard to get it done.
And listen, let me just state that's the importance of us all being here today. For the people of our city, half the battle is just knowing. Instead of sitting home trying to figure out whether or not you can go out tomorrow or what you should try to prioritize or delay if you can. And that's the purpose of us all being here. So thank you both for those responses. I appreciate them. Yes, sir.
Director Williams, is there any particular part of the city that you all are targeting
We're all over. Some areas are more challenging because of the hills. And of course, we have SEPTA routes that we have to be concerned about. But all over the city right now, there is an opportunity for us to continue making sure we clear streets and pathways. Some are more challenging than others.
In terms of the cones, the parking spots on the streets, has the police department had to move any of these cones out of streets? I can't say specifically we've gotten a number of calls about the spaces, but I just reemphasize. I mean, you know, we've had some very tragic incidences as a result of cones, you know, in parking spaces, and I think some of us know, particular individuals have to deal with that, and so we just encourage individuals. It's just not worth it. You know, I understand it, you know, and sometimes it can be controversial. You clean out your space and somebody takes your space, but it's just not worth getting into the confrontations. You just don't know who you're confronting, you know, and what they may be carrying or not carrying, or what could potentially happen as a result of that. So we just really ask people to call 311 or call 911. We'll come out, we'll address the issue for them. It may be, you know, delayed in that response, but we will come out and address that for them.
Would you suggest that someone just avoid, moving the person's cone? I know that people shouldn't put them in the first place, but kind of just provide some advice to people that are seeing these cones.
I think we should avoid the confrontation, right? I mean, I think we need to de-escalate the situation and not get into a conflict with unknown individuals around a cone and a parking space. Let's take it down to this is very granular level, like we're talking about fighting over a parking space. You know, and so I think if we just encourage the community, call 311, we will get that information. Call 911 if it's turning into something more heightened. We will respond and address that for them. They do not need to do that. We'll come through, we'll remove the cones. If we do see a cone, we will remove them in a very effective way. But we just don't need people to get into a confrontation. Just remind people, close their eyes and say, it's a parking space, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a parking space. It's not worth the confrontation as a result of that, and what could happen as a result of getting into a confrontation with anybody. And so that's what we would encourage the community to do.
Maybe last question. Is the city still towing and ticketing cars that are parked on snow emergency routes?
Oh, sure. At this point in time, we're going to declare the snow emergency over at 7 p.m., and that way people can start returning to parking in those locations legally. So we're going to still monitor, and we're still encouraging people not to park on those routes until we can do a thorough job and get it done.
Thank you all so much for being here. We wanted to make sure that you were able to hear from the agencies that are present here today, and they could speak directly to the people of our great city. I just said to Dominic of OEM, Dominic, when we leave here and you do the call in a few seconds, how many agencies? Dominic just affirmed that over 35 agencies here in the city of Philadelphia, and even some of our external partners. You heard from Michelle here from PICO, but that's PICO, that's PGW, it's the Delaware River Port Authority. So many other agencies get together to ensure our public health and safety during this type of weather emergency. So we want to say thank you. One Philly, a united city. This is what it looks like. Let's get back to work, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.